Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Up, Mainframe. Now, we often talk about kind of specific products, especially within the DevOps value stream. We've done some episodes on security, some database, etc. Today, I'm really happy to have our DevOps solution architect, Vishy Ramaswamy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Zach.
While we talk about all these kind of individual solutions, I know that one of the issues that our customers face, and even we internally face, is the fact that you kind of have to set up this and configure that, set up this and configure that, and it takes time and can slow developers down and teams down. And so what is the industry doing to address that? What are we doing?
So Zach, the problem specifically in setting up environments is applicable both on the distributed side as much as the mainframe side.
Got it.
You can imagine that as the hybrid cloud evolved, many distributed services came in, different types of platforms came in. You got the public cloud, you got the mainframe, then you got the on-prem. Imagine you want to set up a development environment and a test environment, have test data generated for all of this stuff. So the industry started moving towards what they call as platform engineering, where you start building services as self-services, take your automations in your company, start exposing them through a portal, so that this way you're not relying on different admins. So in the mainframe case, if I need a server with some data running up, I need to go talk to the sysprog, I need to set up the Tomcat. But why can't I have an environment that can be self-provisioned?
Definitely.
Whether you're using APIs, whether you're using Ansible, that's not relevant. The automation technology is not relevant. The fact that you have automated it and then expose it through some kind of portal, some kind of CLI, so that you get that repeatability. Definitely. And that's the whole essence of what platform engineering is. And I think the distributed side is a little bit ahead of that game now.
Yes.
And what we're seeing is a great trend on the mainframe side that companies are starting to realize, because as new modern mainframe developers are coming, they're looking for modern tool chains.
Yes.
Now they want to set up. We had a best example that the enterprise architect was asking us, saying, I'm a mobile developer. I want to just do some testing on a system of record COBOL application running. I don't want to go set up my mainframe accounts, or I need to talk to a sysprog. Can I just get some kind of a virtual machine with an application running?
Yep.
I mean, it makes so much sense, can it?
Well, it does.
Exactly.
It does really, because kind of the case has always been distributed in mainframe that there's a repository for software, but everybody's got to go install it, set it up, and then, like you say, that a great example about I need actual data, and then you got to go find that as well. And so now you're talking about going in, and it's maybe a simple config, but then access to everything for a workflow.
Well, exactly. So the two or three things that we see are the big challenges would be, can I get an environment where my applications can be deployed? So people start investing in some kind of virtualization. On the mainframe side, you have ZVDTs, ZDNTs that are coming up slowly from IBM that you see some customers adopting it. Well, that's not enough, because all that's going to give you is a basic ZOS. It may give you kicks and DB2 on a subsystem, but now you need to put the products in, the applications in. So companies start investing in a product catalog, so that developers can go handpick and cherry pick. Okay, I want this application to be deployed of this version.
Yes.
Now you start seeing the magic happen. Okay, now I got the application. Then run another automation workflow that will do data generation for you. Or whether you're restoring a DB2 database, or you're creating data from scratch, valuable again, right?
Certainly.
And then next you go look at, I need some test harness. So people start thinking, well, how am I going to test this thing? So API-driven testing, UI-driven testing. Now, as you build these things, you'll now have a set of tools and machinery that the developer can just use.
Yes.
And not have to worry about it.
Definitely. Now, this all sounds really great, but it's quite complicated to get set up. So maybe take us through what are some of the initial steps that we're focusing on?
Great point. So today we had, as you all know, that we've been focusing on our development environment being VS Code primarily. So we try to build, first thing is we want to build a consistent development environment where we can bring in all the relevant VS Code extensions.
Code for Z.
Code for Z. we want to bring code for Z in a container running on the browser,
Okay.
which means that all developers in our mainframe division can go to our portal, click, and get an instant of a VS Code running with whatever extensions they want, number one.
Yes.
And the advantage of that is now for the backend connections of the VS Code, we are kind of leveraging heavily ephemeral environments. We provision ZDNTs or ZVDTs
Okay.
with a product catalog. So if I want all my DevOps tools, I can essentially go click a automation via APIs. That'll give me Kix DB2, testing tools, test for Z, HBJS, all ready to go.
Endeavor even?
Endeavor.
Endeavor.
We have actually Endeavor running installed from scratch. And then we also have, now we are building a catalog of sample business applications.
Okay.
So we started with BizApp, if you remember the Gen App variant from IBM that we customized so that we can build automation inside. We are trying to build another group of products and applications. We trying to build more complex COBOL applications.
Okay.
So now this becomes my data
Yes.
that actually now
exactly.
deployed. The source code for these applications are managed in Endeavor.
Okay.
Then I start creating mappings for Bridge for Git so that I can start having test environments for my different patterns of adoption.
Yes.
So you remember you were presenting today and you said like, well, we got pure Endeavor, then we have the hybrid pattern, then have the Git native pattern. Well, I'm going to start setting in environments for you that automatically will provision Endeavor, get you a sample app code, get a Bridge for Git with a GitLab deployed, get a VS Code container that connects them all together.
Yeah.
So now you see, at the end of the day, we build one automation at a time, and when we connect together, we have a fully development environment ready to go for our
And this is a fantastic thing because, first of all, internally,
Yes.
right? All of a sudden, there's a model that can be used for all teams, and they don't have to maintain a lot of infrastructure that they have maintained for
Exactly.
several years. But then also, this serves as a model for what customers can do.
Absolutely. So one of the things that customers, I think, are doing is that, imagine SMP-based installs or PSWIs are fully automatable because SMP is nothing more than a set of JCLs that you're running and
Yes.
you're automating. You want to automate a ZOSMF workflow, they have REST APIs to do that.
They do.
So whether you're doing it on physical LPARs or ephemeral environments, provisioning is possible. You provision Kix regions. So customers, what we're trying to build is essentially use all the customer-facing assets and build automation around that so we can actually share that with customers.
No.
So customers ask us saying, Vishy, did you build an integration test environment? Like, how did you do that? Like, what pieces did you take? I said, we'll be happy to share with you the automation by just taking SMP basis. We use the REST APIs. Remember how many times we tell our customers, we have so much REST API in our products.
Yeah.
Can we use that to generate data? Can we use that?
Well, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
You just need to start doing it.
Exactly. So enabling that, and that's what we're doing, is like try to take customer-facing assets, look at the big hurdles. Give me the environment, give me the data, and give me a consistent client.
Definitely. And I think your excitement shines through about this, but I think that's in part because of your experience, because you've worked in mainframe and distributed,
Correct.
kind of gone back and forth.
Yep.
And so now you're kind of seeing a nexus where mainframe is getting closer to what distributed's doing. Can you
And-
tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. So I knew the art of the possible because of the distributed side.
Okay.
So when I come in, my optimism is way higher than when I went and met the mainframe leadership, and my leadership would tell me is that, oh yeah, I don't think it's going to work. You know, it's going to take time. This is confusing. But I think you just have to break the problem down. And this is how the distributed guys did it.
Yeah.
So I worked in Shopify, which is a enterprise level SaaS offering store.
Yep.
We had development and test environments all available through a developer portal. The click of a button, there's a test environment. We could get access to shared production-like environments through time splicing, but also, again, self-service.
Wow.
So if I want a window, but they invested in it.
Yes.
So the big thing that I mentioned in today's talk that I said is, the way they achieved is that they actually organized themselves as platform engineering teams.
Okay.
There are dedicated teams made up of developers, administrators, who write automation that is enabled by the rest of the community.
That's fantastic.
And I think mainframe will get there.
Yes.
But the part that I try to convey to the community, our customers, is that start leveraging the automation you've already built and just expose it to the rest of the people so that they're not doing it again and again.
Well, and that's a really important point, because I mentioned how our teams internally can take advantage of this, but it doesn't mean that they immediately drop what they've set up. In fact, a lot of what they set up has informed
Correct.
what we're doing around the
Well,
platform.
exactly. The reason I'll tell you is like the amazing work our developers have done, the little customizations they have done, that out of the box was not happening in the ZDNT. So we are going back and forth to fine tune the product out of the box configuration so that developers don't have to do that anymore.
Exactly. No, that's fantastic. So Shopify, but you were in IBM even before that.
17 years, yeah.
Okay. So you were in Mainframe, then you went and saw really the art of the possible, and now you've actually come to us by way of AI ops. So, what's kind of happening outside of our value stream? I mean, there's value in this for everyone.
Exactly. So, interesting you brought that up, is the same approach we took in the AI ops stream when I worked in workload automation.
Okay.
So workload automation was primarily focused on batch jobs and scheduling batch jobs.
Yeah.
The industry is moving towards more real-time transactions that need to happen.
Okay.
So there's regulatory changes in the finance industry saying, if I deposit my money into this account, it has to be available within 5 minutes, not 48 hours, not 24 hours.
Yeah.
So suddenly now a real-time, event-driven job, the same job that was running, now needs to run as a triggered event on an event that's happening. And you need orchestration for that.
Yes.
So again, now you enable workflows that automatically are doing this. The workload automation use case for developers is they themselves can go and schedule jobs.
Okay.
They can execute batch jobs without the need of a scheduler in between. Because today, traditionally in Mainframe, now schedulers control it when you're creating jobs because you got to be careful what you're running.
Yes.
So there's a approval process. The way they automate many customers is they build the workflow, the automation. They either enable it through ServiceNow. You can build ServiceNow forms.
And you have
People started building their own portals. And guess what? Developers, they can use the same development portal that we are advocating, whether you have Backstage, which is a very popular platform. Imagine developers can now write their JCL, schedule it, because our AI ops products have been API enabled. So CA7, ESP have APIs. I could just call them, schedule my job, or execute my job.
So you really run the same flow that's going to happen in real life.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
And now you basically are not bothering the scheduler anymore. Otherwise, today it is based on tickets. Like, remember some of the challenges we run internally with our infrastructure team. You got to raise a ticket.
And you got to wait.
We got to wait. And I think productivity improves, the efficiency improves. We're doing that now for database schema changes. You saw our DB story on creating new VS Code plugins for developers so that I don't need the DBA to adopt some of the schema changes, at least in development and test environments, right? Again, self-service, bring it up, run it.
And it's fantastic. And it's driven by APIs.
APIs. And our focus has been automation driven by APIs. We are API first. Broadcom is API first. We try to build automation on API. And our customers do the same. They try as best as possible. And they just need more examples. So platform engineering is bringing that problem now. There was a great session by one of our customers today who started building. They started thinking, and they had a great way of explaining it. Vishy, I was looking at the distributed side, and every time I go to the enterprise architects, they would have a checkbox saying Mainframe exempt. And they said, I don't want to be exempt. I want to be part of the strategy of where my enterprise is going in terms of tooling, in terms of security, in terms of integrations.
Exactly.
And then suddenly, they are basically Mainframe provisioning, Mainframe APIs, Mainframe applications got injected into Backstage as one of the tabs. And we were just blown away because I'm waiting for customers to do this, and you're starting to see that movement happening.
Oh, that's fantastic. So in general, if we're talking to customers through this episode, so APIs are kind of at the heart of this. Embracing an attitude of, we need to automate things.
Yes.
We got to get rid of tickets, and we got to make tooling and data available to developers sooner. Anything else?
And keep measuring. The most important part is automation. Blind automation is not helpful. You need to measure the productivity because define your own metrics, measure them, make sure that take the top 5 difficult tasks, automate them, make sure that you're getting the value, reinvest it.
That's fantastic. Vishy, thanks so much for being on.
No problem.
Here in Plano by the pool. Should we go
Thank
take a
you,
dip?
Thank you, Zach. Yeah.